Yo, what is up? What is going on? Today, I wanted to basically get on here and talk a little bit more about Champions. Now, of course, we're going to start off with understanding that this is like an EMEA tournament, and the most favorited EMEA team was here. This team is mostly known for being one of EMEA's best teams with Fnatic. So I just like to use this as a precursor that it could be kind of understandable to see like it from a different perspective of their perspective of, it's not specifically Fnatic's tournament, but at the same time, it's kind of near their hometown and stuff like that. I'm trying to shed some light on the fact that I do get the connection and I find it a little bit understandable, but at the same time, I do feel like it was some bullshit with what they tried to pull at Champs 2025. Now, we'll start out with saying that, for example, Paper lost and came in 4th. And then Fnatic ended up losing to NRG. And then that means that Fnatic had to beat DRX to go to the finals. And they ended up doing that. Good on Fnatic for doing that and whatever. But clearly there are some specific teams that everybody in the stadium or everybody that attended Champs wanted to see win. Those two specific teams that it seemed like they wanted to win, the crowd wanted to win, was Fnatic and Paper. But when it came to people like, even like DRX had more of a fan base there than NRG. So when it came to the finals, NRG managed to go up really big on every map and almost 3-0'd them. But I promise you, every single round when I was watching the game, I was watching the crowd slightly light up with because the whole arena had a bunch of lights in it and shit like that. I saw it slightly light up every single time. It was mainly the bomb being lit up and lighting the building up. Like when the bomb would tick down and the time would run out, that was when the lights would go off. But when we seen Fnatic actually fucking win a round for once, they literally blew the entire stadium up. Lights were going crazy, white lights flashing everywhere. And I understand that this stadium has like the new advanced high-tech fucking lights on the seats and whatnot, or they had like light wristbands. Like if you were to do something like look at the Super Bowl, you'd see that all the fucking like lights were lit up whenever the game was being played. So clearly every arena managed to upgrade their systems and what makes shit look more cool like on camera. So that explains the reason on why there were lights there in the first place. But I promise you, NRG got up 9-3 at each half and had an 11-1 half, and there were no fucking lights being lit up. But literally, it was 11-2 because Fnatic had won the pistol round and they fucking, the building erupted. Lights were going off. I wasn't surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like pyrotechnics going off and fucking fire coming out of the stage. Everybody, every single fan was sitting there cheering, roaring, yeah, Fnatic, you got this. Like I said, this is the home crowd, but bro, are we dead ass? Are we so serious? Like Fnatic would have like some pretty shitty rounds and nobody would be cheering from even like NRG having like some crazy rounds or some crazy clutches. And I was like, damn, this is really fucked up. Like this is just straight home soil. It seemed kind of unfair, but at the same time, it's kind of just unlucky. You know what I mean? That NRG is not like in their home region. But bro, that doesn't mean that they have to like kill all the lights in the stadium when NRG would win a round. It was so fucked up. Like these fucking guys on NRG would, like I said, up 11-1. Not a single time were they like celebrating them doing like anything ever. There were like people like Sam and Mata were like begging the crowd to cheer for them, and they constantly were turning around asking for basically like approval from the crowd and like lifting their fucking arms up and telling them like, yo, make some noise for us. And their whole goal, like they were talking about, oh, our goal is to try to make the crowd like us, like get the crowd on our side, because I guess that they wanted that like tactical advantage of having, more of the crowd and more of the fans on their side so that they can get more momentum off it and stuff like that. But it turns out that literally everybody in that building was either a fucking Paper stan or a Fnatic stan, and they just did not want to see NRG win at all. Even though if you had like the slightest bit of an idea of who NRG were, they were the team that were supposed to be a super team last year, ended up bowing out, and then having kind of a shit start to this year, and just came back in stage 2 to do okay. So, like they have their own story alongside people like Boaster and Chronicle. Oh, they've never had a championship ever before with a win at Champions. Of course they have some Masters wins, but they've never won a Champions, so they really want to win the big one here and blah blah blah. But I'm just thinking to myself, I was like, bro, this is a little bit shameless now. Like I said, like, can we get like equal type of like cheering? Or maybe not even like cheering. You don't even have to do equal cheering. But can we equally light up the fucking building for like like either team. Like even another thing is the fact that when you were watching the games and Fnatic were down really, really bad, these motherfuckers on NRG really weren't sitting up here and like getting extra hype, or they weren't really like standing up anymore after they had already like went up so many rounds. I won't say like they stopped caring, but they realized that Fnatic was down and out, so they didn't want to like stomp on their grave, you know what I mean? That's why people like, you know, like Mata stopped standing up, Scuba stopped standing up. The only person that was really standing up for real after they went up like 11-1 on Abyss was Sam. But then the people on Fnatic just fucking kept standing up, which is, it's whatever. It's just like, you know, the competition and whatnot. But even after they got down like 2 whole maps and down 11-1, after they came back on Abyss, they got like some new life to them and they instantly stood up after every round win. It was disgusting. But the main thing I want to do is hit home on this point. I don't understand why even like the casters and the people that are controlling the lights and shit and controlling like whether or not like the arena is hype is solely based around Fnatic. I know it might be a little bit, I know this might be a little bit weird to say, but the casters, I didn't really like them. Mainly because they casted the upper finals with Fnatic against NRG, and it's not the fact that they had like bad casting, but I believe that they have biased casting. I could just be looking at it from like an America's Pilled like point of view where I'm just kind of tripping and they weren't really like biased casting that much comparatively to like some casters probably could be even more biased than the ones that were casting the upper finals. Yeah, and the casters were Pansy and Hypoc. Me personally, I like Bren and Sideshow best. I know it's just like a little bit of favoritism, but I don't know, when Bren like screams at the top of his lungs, I don't know, it's just really good to me. Like I like their casting the best. Because Sideshow has like a lot of those analytics, and Bren is the one that mainly comes with like the heart and the passion. Even maybe like Doug. I know like I'm arguing over which casters are good and which casters are bad. It's kind of like nerdy, I guess, but like listen, okay. Like I said, it just gets to me when I have to listen to Pansy and Hypoc. Literally, in the uppers, they're fucking getting their glurps off on Fnatic, just straight dick suckage. Like, oh my god, I can't believe Fnatic is playing so bad against these scrubs NRG. I can't believe they lose against a team like this. Rather than them being like, oh, NRG is like just they're doing really well, they're having a really good game. They rather say, oh, Alpha Year is just really not having a good day today. Oh, Chronicle is really not playing like himself. Like, motherfucker, can you give credit to the motherfuckers that need credit? Like, you want to just single out and then say like, oh, this person's just having an off day, or this person's just having a bad day today. Wait till you see them next time. It's like, dude, it makes me so fucking aggravated. Because rather than talking about like what the team is like doing good and doing well because they're playing well, they rather just like discredit them and say that the other team is just doing bad. That's why the other team's doing well. Oh, Fnatic just don't look like how they're supposed to today. NRG just managed to barely scrape by, even though they like fucking like damn near 13-0 them. They weren't really doing this as much on like the finals and stuff like that with Fnatic against NRG. But literally, it had me wanting to fucking strangle my monitor listening to Pansy and Hypoc fucking dick suck Fnatic in the uppers. It was making me so mad. And I mean, that's like another layer to this whole thing. For some reason, of course, I was getting pretty frustrated just because I was just thinking to myself, I was like, bro, are we serious? Are we dead ass right now? With how much they're like pouring into these motherfucking Fnatic players, and like how much they're like trying to love on them with the casting and shit like that. Like I can understand that's from their region, so you would understand like, oh, these players, they know these players, they know how good they can be, they know how good they can perform. But at some point, you gotta understand like when to fucking pop it out, bruh. Like please, 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 please get the penis out your mouth. And that's not to say like they're bad casters. Like, Pansy and Hypoc actually have, like, good highlight moments, and they really know how to, like, they typically make the players pop really hard whenever, like, you're watching, like, a highlight clip, or, of course, they're coming up with, like, some corny sayings for the players, like, oh, this guy's the new demon, this guy's the new #1. You might as well call this guy Goku with how he just Ultra Instinct all those bullets. Like, I don't know, a bunch of fucking stupid stuff. Like, I feel like they're kind of like constantly trying to be like making gimmicky catchphrases and names for people just to like, I don't know, like increase their stock as a caster, but I could be like completely wrong. Of course it does like enhance the games, but at the same time it's just a little bit too much to me. Not like they're trying like super duper hard, but you know, like they're trying to get their aha moment. Like I said, I don't believe they're bad casters, but I just believe that specifically in the uppers, they were doing way too much like to hype up Fnatic specifically, and it was pissing me the fuck off. And it was just adding into more of the favoritism because, like I said, NRG were playing out of their minds in both the upper and in the final. Like NRG that day had been playing really well on Ascent, going back and forth with rounds taken, and they looked really well on Ascent, but then like after that they destroyed them the next map, and that's when they started saying shit like, oh, Fnatic just don't look like the same Fnatic. And like I said again, I can understand they're like the best team like of EMEA and shit like that, and they probably did have like kind of an off day, but then the next day they proceeded to get shit on once again, and it's like, what more can you say now? Can you call them the best players again, or could you just give fucking NRG their credit for playing well? Like that's all I wanted them to do. But like I said, the uppers, they weren't that good, but when it came to the finals, they did really well, in my opinion. But yeah, I still can't get over the fact that these motherfucking lights were not going off at all for NRG compared to fucking Fnatic. You don't understand. That shit was blowing me to the maximum. And like I said, in the uppers, I had to mute the casters. I could not take it anymore. But yeah, in total, I genuinely believe that they did have more favoritism for Fnatic, and I think it's pretty apparent. But at the same time, I mean, what more can you do with the event? You know what I mean? Like, it ended up being in, what, London, Paris, or whatever the fuck. So, imagine if it was, like, in Korea or in China or something like that. It might have been a little bit of a different outcome, and it could have favored either team, honestly, a little bit better than they did here at this place, in this arena. But I don't know. You could just chalk it up to just NRG being unlucky and having one of the best teams in EMEA just being on like home turf. You know what I mean? But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say on this topic. So with that being said, I'm gonna get the fuck out of here. I'll see you.